Hello there, social media loving peeps. Welcome back to my channel. I'm at it again like a crazy person. Yes, you read it in the topic. I am going to warn you, a lot of the stuff I'm going to be discussing might trigger you, but you are forewarned because it does have to do with beauty standards and body image. And I know those are always testy topics to talk about, but let's get into it, okay? So, have you ever noticed how certain games accidentally tell the truth about the world at the time? Not because they're trying to be profound in any form of way, but because the culture that created them actually bleeds through the seams, and Life is Strange is one of those games for me. I keep using this game as a lens, okay? A mirror, like I put it in my blogs, because it reflects things we don't always see clearly in real life. Or we just try to ignore it, or like most people do, we just normalize it and move on with our day. And this morning, something clicked for me. Something about the characters. Well, there's something about their bodies that slapped me so hard in the face that I woke up. And suddenly I realized Life is Strange acts like a time capsule of the beauty standards we grew up with. And I'm an older millennial, by the way. So, and this was done based on millennials. So, the so called body image trend at the time was thinness. Let's be real about this. We as a society has cycled through the same body images and beauty standards over and over again. It's almost kind of laughable on how it just keeps looping, and it doesn't even take that long. It usually takes like a decade or so for it to transition over into the same standard over and over and over. And you know what's funny? Because the evidence of this is actually shown in paintings throughout the ages as well, on how we have cycled through different ideal body image standards, and a variety of beauty standards. Believe me, I'm like medieval or Renaissance times. Those ladies back then, I think I would consider them not so pretty, but that they were considered the ideal image. But let me get back into it. But so it blows my mind. It blows my mind how people are so fixated on a certain ideal look. I don't understand it. And I understand, I think it does have a lot to do with control, because when I listen to cult scholars and everything, the one thing they like doing, cults, is to control body image. They want to control your weight. And of course, back in the day, having a certain look, a certain thickness, certain thinness, it was about enforcing an image in some way. And it usually was based on class or a certain group. Like, I'm not going to go into details on it on here, but the people of today that are basically trying to control and destroy everything do have a look associated to them. But let me stay on track with this. Here's the thing about beauty standards. They're not timeless. As I mentioned before, it goes through a cycle. And it's not even universal, because beauty standards and body image vary by location and region and culture, by the way, and not to mention sexuality. Speaking from a lesbian standpoint, body image and beauty standards are rarely ever my vocabulary. You look at the queer community, we have all sorts of looks to us, okay? We pretty much are liberating in different types of standards for our own self and body images as well. That's because the ones that are enforcing a certain fixed body image or beauty standard is based off of trends. Like a trend to control people to profit from, just like fashion, music, everything else in society that uses those means to control people. And there's a lot of them, by the way. Girls, particularly, are the victims of this, because I'm focusing on them because of what is going on with all the reveals of what was in that certain file. And when I look at Life is Strange and the time it was developed, That was the dominant trend of that day, which was thinness. And it's kind of funny that we're moving back into that trend today. But let's just call that game the leftover bones of the early 2000s because that's when it was. Max, Chloe, Victoria, Rachel, even Brooke, they all share that same thin, narrow body type that annoys the hell out of me. Not because the developers were malicious, they probably were, probably not. I don't know them as people, but because that was the cultural air everyone was breathing at the time. Meanwhile, Alyssa, the girl with the larger body frame, is the one who is constantly bullied in the game. And that is actually a real thing, and that's the part that is triggering for a lot of people. And Daniel, one of the few boys who doesn't fit the ideal beauty standard, is physically assaulted in the hallway in the beginning chapter of the game. Let's call it for what it is. It's assault. If someone recorded that today, those boys would be facing criminal charges, by the way. But schools rarely protect kids, by the way. They protect reputations, they protect parents with influence, and that's the world these character models were born from, shaped from. If you want to understand why thinness dominated the 2000 and early 2010s, look at the media of the time. America's Next Top Model taught girls that thinness was the price of worth. The Biggest Loser turned weight loss into a spectacle, harming contestants for entertainment. Some nearly died, by the way. And the fitness and wellness industry, let's say it's still toxic at its core. Now, with social media, it's even more dangerous. Platforms like this, body based content performs well, fitness content performs even better. And anything tied to money or self improvement performs best overall. So creators chase influence because influence equals income, and income equals autonomy. Let that sink in. Some speak with authority and confidence, but they're pushing misinformation because it's profitable. Just because they are speaking eloquently doesn't mean they are correct. They built cult like followings under the guise of helping people when really they're chasing power. They built, okay, not everyone is like that, by the way. Not like the people who built cult like followings. I learned math through this platform and I tested out of multiple classes because of it when I was entering university because I have trouble with math. So if I didn't learn math online, I would have been stuck taking a whole lot of other math classes to get to the math class that I needed for my degree at the time. So platforms like this and content creators that truly want to help people, it is on here, but they don't have millions of followers, by the way. And usually their videos are very long form and they're very thorough, down to the T. You would learn a lot from that. I thank them a lot for that. And that's the problem with trends. They're engineered, they're profitable, they're designed to make you feel bad about yourself. Let that sink in. They are made to and designed to make you feel bad about yourself. Now, what's interesting is how the newer Life is Strange game shifted from the whole thinness design. True colors being one of them, double exposure, and now we have Reunion that's coming out next week. The characters have actual body distinction. They look healthier, more realistic, more human, to be honest. I can view that shift as being intentional in a good way. It mirrors the cultural shift towards body diversity, a shift that took far too long. And honestly, it looks better, it feels better, it reflects the world we actually live in and not a fantasy. I don't know why people are stuck on fantasy, but leave it at is. And now we are going into the same toxic part of the cycle again of valuing thinness, okay? And I don't like that. I've met so many adult women who used to look like Max and Chloe. And it always makes me feel like, oh my God, so much has changed with them because I see them through the process. They used to look so thin. They were stressed out a lot. They were under a lot of pressure. They were surviving life, and their body reflected that. And as their lives improved and as they found stability, love, better jobs that was able to help pay for a different life for themselves so they can have more meaningful days and not stressful ones, they naturally got thicker. And with that, they look healthier and they look happier because they are. People act like there's one universal ideal, but that's just projection. Attraction is personal. Some people love tall women, thick women, muscular women, feminine women, mask women. Some fall for personality first, that would be me. Some fall for how someone carries themselves. I've always been drawn to thicker women, by the way, but I've also been fascinated by tall women and muscular women. That's the one thing I always neglect to confess. It sometimes slips on stream. I do have a thing for muscular women as well. Ultimately, though, I fall for personality and conversation because that's just how my mind works. And to me, compatibility matters. I'm like, when I think of the muscular woman, I see a gym focused woman who spends a lot of hours in the gym. And to be honest with you, that's not my lifestyle, which is why I always shove it way in the back over there. So when I think of compatibility, I don't really think of muscular women or gym going women. I love walking. That is my favorite activity that I do every day. And I do mobility workouts that only take 30-minute sessions at home that help improve my movement and quality of life. But my life is built around solitude because of the creative works I do, and that requires long stretches of time being alone, like doing videos like this, streaming, gaming, writing, and I actually do art for a living. Even when people are in the room with me or in my studio, I'm still in my own world. They're just a guest in it. I know I've wandered across topics, but here's the truth I keep circling. There is more to life than body image, beauty standards, fashion trends, and insecurity. Let me point that out. More to life than insecurity, okay? At some point, none of it matters. None of it's going to matter later down the line. The tighter you cling to society's script, because there is one that is not a delusion, the more limited your life becomes. And living life is subjective too. Everyone wants something different. But trends are man made. I learned over time they are just tools of control. Trends are designed to make you feel bad about yourself so someone else can profit from you feeling that way. When you realize that, you gain something priceless. And I know a lot of creators talk about freedom, but really, no, the real freedom is actually mental sovereignty. Freeing yourself starts with the mind first. It always has been. Then everything else follows suit. And some people don't want you to have that. Because the moment you do, you're no longer controllable. That means they can no longer profit off of you. And take that as you will. So, if Life is Strange taught me anything about this situation, it's that the stories we tell and the bodies we draw or design always reveal the truth about the world that made them. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Now, if you made it to the end of this video, thank you. Since we're already here talking about bodies, pressure, and the stories we inherit, this feels like the right moment to share something really personal with you guys. I struggle with body dysmorphia. It's something I've carried most of my life, and it shapes the way I see myself or don't see myself in the mirror. I don't keep a scale in my home anymore for that reason. I really can't. I used to obsess over numbers, over shrinking, over chasing an idea of health that was never actually about health. Let's be real about that. Because when people say lose weight, they're not talking about biology. They're talking about image, and that's not even associated with image. Losing weight has nothing to do with image. Body composition is about leaning out or bulking up. But to them, it's about fitting into a trend. It's about a certain look being acceptable in society. And for years, I attached my value to that. But the truth is, my body has changed with my life. When I was bigger and I noticed the pattern, I was carrying a lot emotionally and mentally. I was going through a lot. And when I was leaner, I was in a more peaceful state of mind. It shows I was more in the thriving mindset versus the survival one. My body has always been a reflection of my inner world and not a reflection of my worth. And layered on top of that, I live with an autoimmune disease. I take medication every day, and I have to take it for the rest of my life if I want to have a somewhat quality means of life. So even when I looked healthy, I wasn't. Even when I looked unhealthy, I was surviving things no one could see. That's why I don't listen to people who shame others about their bodies. If someone uses insults to control you, they're not credible, by the way. They're not wise either, and they're definitely not someone you need in your life. Just leave them behind. Don't let them shape how you see yourself, or let them decide. Don't let them decide your value, because at the end of the day, your body is not a trend. Your body is yours. No one else is entitled to it. Your worth is not a trend. And the people who try to control you through shame only have the power that you give them. So don't give them any more power. And most of all, take back your power and let that all rest in peace there. Take that as you will.